Hi, folks. I'm Bruce Sudano, and this is a song I co-wrote a few years ago. Toot toot. Ah, baby. You say I'm out on the street at night, talking all kinds of strangers, but the price is right. You can't score if your pocket's tight, but you want a good time. Yeah, yeah. Bad girls, sad girls, talking about the bad girls, baby. Yeah, yeah. Now we're going straight to the top of the charts. Take it away.
Go straight to the top of the charts. Go straight to the top of the charts. From 10 to 1, you gotta show number 1 when you go straight to the top of the charts. Top of the charts, top of the charts. That song's gonna climb to the top. When you go straight to the top of the charts. When you go straight to the top of the charts. When you go straight to the top, right to the top. When you go straight to the top of the charts.
Welcome, Bruce Sudano. I gotta say, you are a fantastic musician, and let me tell you, we just got a text straight away from Shani, and she said you got a great voice. Of course, he's got a great voice. He's written great songs.
Yeah, well, I'm not. I don't consider myself the greatest singer, but I've always been a songwriter, and I keep working on the singing thing. I keep working on everything.
Now, Bruce, I got to take you back, right? Now, you started getting into music, I'm just saying, when you were 4 years old. Is that correct?
Well, that's when my Italian grandfather brought an accordion back from Italy to Brooklyn, and I was I had no choice. You know, Grandpa brings it from Italy. You have to learn it. So yeah, so that's where my music career began. Yeah.
That's great. Now let's move fast forward to 1968, and there's a band called Alive and Kicking, and there's someone behind the organ, and that's you, right? And
Yeah.
Tommy James writes a great song, Tighter, Tighter, and the song becomes a huge hit. Can you tell me how the song came to you and what it was like being in that band at that particular time? Because that song is just mind-blowing.
Well, the story goes like this. Alive and Kicking was the house band at a club in Manhattan called the Cheetah back in '68. And so 6 nights a week, we would play 4 or 5 sets a night. It was a very popular club in New York at the time. Tommy James lived right around the corner from this club. And one night showed up, saw the band. I was an aspiring songwriter. Tommy was at the top of his career by then. You know, he had Hanky Panky, Moni Moni, I Think We're Alone Now. And so I was still in my teens, and I kind of glommed onto Tommy and was like, so I would on breaks from playing in the club, I would run around to his apartment and attempt to write songs with him. And in fact, in 1968, co-wrote a song with him for him at Tommy James and the Shondells called Ball of Fire, which became a top 10 record. This was prior to Tighter, Tighter. And then he agreed to produce my band. And at that point in time, he put out a record and an album called Crimson and Clover. Yeah. And on that album, Crimson and Clover, there was a song called Crystal Blue Persuasion, which the band quite liked. And Tommy said, well, okay, why don't you guys record Crystal Blue Persuasion, and that'll be your single. And so we went in and started rehearsing Crystal Blue Persuasion. And just at the point that we got it down, Marcia Levy, the president of Roulette Records, said, oh, no, you can't have that song. That's Tommy's next single. So we were distraught. I was like, oh, there comes there goes our big chance. And Tommy said, don't worry, I'll write something else. And a couple of months went by. He came up with Tighter and Tighter. We went in the studio, and that's how that happened.
Now, this is where you're in music history just there. And I'm going to pass you on to Sabine. She wants to tell you a few things.
All right.
Hey, Bruce. It's a real honor to have you on the show, Bruce. And it's good to see you again, because it was about 3 years ago that I met you through Colin Blunstone. But that we'll leave that for later. But
right.
I really want to go to 1977 and Brooklyn Dreams. And so just tell everybody how that all came about with your band, and then how you got to meet Donna, and so how it all kind of could, carried on from there.
Sure. So after Alive and Kicking, at some point, I left the band, and I kind of retreated into a basement for a couple of years, and just concentrated on writing and really realigning myself, because as a young guy having success with Alive and Kicking and touring, we toured with Mothers of Invention in Chicago and Eric Burden in War, and it kind of really went to my head, and I was a little bit of an arrogant young guy, and then it all crumbled around me, and I had to rediscover myself. So I kind of did. I wrote a bunch of new songs, and then in 1976, made my way out to Los Angeles, California, and at the same time, two other friends from Brooklyn, guys that I kind of grew up with, playing in the same club circuit, Joe Esposito and Eddie Hilkinson, were out there at the same time. We were all individually pursuing separate careers. Another friend of ours from Brooklyn, Susan Mineo, was the head of the vice president of publicity at Casablanca Records. She came to us and said, "Boys, instead of doing this all separately, why don't you put something together? And I think your chances will be increased if you're a team." So we started with these songs that I had written in the basement, and they became the foundation of the first Brooklyn Dreams album. We got a record deal to sign with Millennium Records, which was a company back in New York. We gave up our apartments in Los Angeles because we were going to go back to New York, and then at the last minute they said, "Oh no, you're not coming back to New York. You're going to record on the West Coast." So we had no place to live for a minute, and I called Susan. I said, "Look, can we crash on the floor of your apartment? Because you know what just happened." And she was like, "Okay, come stay with me." And so the three of us were basically sleeping on her living room floor when one Sunday afternoon, Donna, who was an artist on Casablanca Records, came to visit Susan, who was the head of publicity, and that's how we met Donna. She came up. We immediately started writing songs, and it went from there.
Wow, that's incredible. And so it carried on then, and you were writing also for the Jacksons, I believe, and other artists too, because you were a songwriter, and so of course your songwriting career, just exploded.
Well, I don't know that it exploded, but I was definitely, with the Brooklyn Dreams, we did four albums basically in 4 years. So that was a lot of songwriting there. We wrote a song for the Thank God It's Friday soundtrack called "Take It to the Zoo." We did American Hot Wax. We appeared in that movie and recorded for the soundtrack, and then we also did the theme song for a movie called Hollywood Nights. Was a song called Hollywood Nights, which since has been sampled by Snoop Dogg and various other people. We did the soundtrack for a TV movie, Police Story, from which one of our songs, Street Man, came from. So there was a big period, we were very busy in that time frame. And then all of that led up to my first solo album called The Fugitive Kind in 1980, which contained a song called Starting Over Again about the divorce of my parents, which later, became a big country song for Dolly Parton and Reba McEntire. And it was also 1980 when Donna and I got married and our first daughter, Brooklyn, was born. And we kind of settled back. We moved to the country, and we had cows and horses and turkeys and chickens and kids. And so career transitioned. And that's when I started transitioning more into being a songwriter and for other acts like the Jacksons and things like that.
Yeah. And your
Bruce,
daughters,
I've got to say,
your daughters are very talented. So I just want to say that you mentioned your daughters, very talented. Yeah. You must be so proud of them.
I'm very proud of them. Yeah, I'm very proud of them. Yeah.
Bruce, I just want to say, with the Bad Girls album, I mean, that went straight away. It was acclaimed platinum, and then it went double platinum, and it's really never stopped, that album. And then at the Grammy Awards, I mean, you guys just cleaned up. You guys were like the cream of the crop. I mean, how great was it that you just, like, as I said, at the apex of the scene where you're unbeatable in the music business? I mean, so many awards that you won. This is the 1980 Grammy Awards, I take it, right? It was, as I said, it was nominated for Album of the Year too, wasn't it?
If you say so. I really don't remember. I mean, a lot of things. We were going about 170 miles an hour every day at that point in time. So there were a lot of things that happened that kind of just went by, and it's interesting because I don't know if you know this, but I'm the cop on the cover of the Bad Girls album. I don't know if you were aware of that.
No, I didn't know that, Bruce, but now the world knows that. All right, I'm glad.
Yeah.
No, near the pole, on the corner of the pole.
Yeah.
So,
that's you. Yeah.
So, and it wasn't really until recently, that in reviewing the Bad Girls album myself, that I realized how much of that record was reflective of Donna and my relationship at that time. The songs like My Baby Understands and On My Honor and I'm drawing a blank of what else, but there's a good part of that record that was really reflecting what was happening in our relationship in those years of when we were really trying to come together. So it was a great experience. It was a great record. Yeah, it was an amazing moment in time for all of us, for Joe Bean Esposito, Eddie Hokinson, Donna and myself, and Susan Mineo, Neil Bogart at Casablanca, all of us. It was just a very, it was like, the peak moment of a lot of things when Donna was, maybe the number one artist in the world at that particular time.
Yeah, I'll definitely say that. I just want to refresh your memory there. I want to say Hot Stuff won Best Female Rock Vocal Performance. Yeah. Additionally, Bad Girls was nominated for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance and Best Female R&B Vocal Performance. I mean, like, it's considered, Bad Girls, one of the greatest disco albums. I mean, of course you got Saturday Night Fever, but you got to understand, that's the guys and a mix. And then you got Donna Summer, the queen, at the apex. There's like, disco was like the biggest thing in the world, and you guys are on the biggest thing in the world.
That's right. And 6 weeks in the US, #1, and #6 in Australia.
Yeah.
That's where I am. Melbourne, Australia.
It's a great record for sure. It holds up to this day. Kudos to Giorgio Moroder and Pete Bellotti and Harold Faltermeyer and Sylvester Levay and I always say that a very he rarely gets mentioned, but was so crucial to that team. Was Jürgen Koppers, who was the engineer I mean, you listen to that record, the sound of that record, the clarity of it, the punch of it, spectacular. And so Jürgen Koppers, deserves a lot of credit. Harold Faltermeyer, great arrangements and great playing. Keith Forsey, co-wrote Hot Stuff, played the drums, a great drummer. Later went on to produce Billy Idol, Keith, among other people. So it was just a great team with a great chemistry, and where everybody got to do, to give their best, and beautifully orchestrated by Giorgio.
Yeah.
I got to ask you about Giorgio Moroder. I mean, I'm really fascinated with the guy. I mean, you got to tell us something about working with Giorgio. I mean, the guy's he was at the Apex too. That was his scene. Every song was nearly Giorgio Moroder.
Well, like I said, it was definitely a team effort with Giorgio at the top, basically overseeing it and orchestrating everybody. And it was a great, it was just a great team. It was a great bunch of talent, and it's to Giorgio's credit. I mean, Giorgio, writes beautiful melodies and is a very creative thinker. And like Donna, what Donna and Giorgio, I think, really had in common, alongside both being amazingly talented, is they had a desire to push the envelope. They weren't afraid of taking chances. They liked to take chances. They were into what's next and what can we do more. I mean, if you look at the creative run that they had from Love to Love You Baby, Love to Love You Baby.
Yeah.
I remember even when I first heard Love to Love You Baby, in that particular moment, because of my own headspace, I initially viewed Love to Love You Baby as a bit of a novelty song, because it was the first appearance of Donna and Giorgio and Pete on a worldwide arena, and because of the novelty of that song and the creativity that Neil Bogart used in breaking that song to the public, a song that the radio was reluctant to play, and how we went to the clubs and said, let's break it through the clubs, and even making it a 16-minute song so that the clubs after midnight would play the whole thing. And it was just such a creative way of promoting that song and breaking new areas to bring it to the public. That even myself initially viewed it as a bit of a novelty, but when you go back and listen to that record and the musicality on the record and the creativity of the bass line and the whole piece of the song, and how they transitioned from that into the concept album of Four Seasons of Love and Spring Affair and Winter Melody, and all the musicality of all that into Once Upon a Time, and the theme of that whole fairy tale of that, and the musicality of all of this, with the beautiful string arrangements. And it's just a magnificent legacy of work that all led into the progression of Bad Girls, where it became more of a little bit of rock and roll and R&B and the earthiness and the horn lines and and the Jeff Skunk Baxter guitar solos and all of these things. It was a beautiful progression into the Wanderer album, which we just celebrated the 40th anniversary of the Wanderer record, and so yeah.
I gotta say, you know what it really is? You might have thought it's a novelty, but it's actually a masterpiece. Now, from that, I want to move on to I Feel Love. Now, there's a song I think they banned in the BBC and all that, but you know what? That's pure emotion. That song is real, and that song is that's the mood.
Yeah, and it was covered by Jimmy Somerville and Mark Armand. And what a fantastic hit they made out of it, with their own twist on it. Wow.
Yeah. No,
there you go.
That, I Feel Love goes to my comment previously about their willingness to push the envelope. at that time, that song was revolutionary in the moment, and it has continued through all these years to be the EDM high mark. That's the standard that everybody's trying to reach through all generations in dance music, and to this day, it is the most. That song has been in so many movies and so many TV shows, and it's the song that defines that particular moment in time.
Some songs, Bruce, have that longevity. They have that. They're such gems. That they can be so. People can cover them so many different ways, and as you say, on soundtracks and in TV ads, and just there's just such a life to them. It's just incredible.
Yeah,
what a great tribute! I mean, just fantastic.
It's timeless. That's what it is. It's timeless.
Yes.
That's it. But let me tell you, this mark that you made, you guys reached the heights, as I said, the apex that no one's reached. That's like as the height of climbing the mountain. You know what I mean? You're on top of the world. I can only imagine. And you can tell me, Bruce, what was it like being out in the street, or let's say going to Club 54 or going where you are? What was it like being like, you guys must have been treated like the greatest celebrities out there, even with Giorgio Moroder.
Well, I tell people all the time, because they that's a question I frequently get, but we were so busy, especially Donna, because first of all, it's the songwriting, it's the recording, it's the promotion. Donna, we would be on tour, and there'd be, 3 days of shows, and then 1 day off, and the 1 day off, she would be doing interviews from morning, to afternoon.
It's full on.
All day, full on all the time. So everybody always has this perception of us, hanging out at Studio 54 and partying it late into the night. No, that we weren't there. We were there once or twice.
No time for vacations then. No time for vacations then. When you're you're promoting the album, you're touring the album, you're doing TV guest spots. There's no time for rest, is there? To relax.
Yeah. Yes. So it was full on for a good 5-year period until, as I said earlier, we got married in 1980, and then started to wind it down a little bit so that Donna could. We had some kids but at that point it was necessary, for us to do that, just to put some balance back into our lives and to recover a little bit, and to, get out of the, headspace of all that is, of being the number one star in the world, and
overwhelming.
It's overwhelming, and it can eat your soul. So, we all know the stories of the casualties. I'm trying to be in the center here. Of the casualties of rock and roll and music life.
Yeah, of course.
And so we were very careful, and it's interesting because even at that time, Donna made his transition from Casablanca to Geffen Records, and it was an interesting time. So the Wanderer was on Geffen, and but we really had to try and balance things out at that point, and that's what we did. So we kind of took a step back, and but then here I am, and unfortunately Donna's not here, but we were married for over 30 years, and we have 3 beautiful children, and I now have
very talented daughters. Carrying in your kind of like music field, and acting. So very creative daughters you have, very creative.
Yeah, and more than that is that they're really good people, and I have 9 grandchildren.
Love.
So the family keeps going.
Right. Now, Bruce, we want to talk about you now. What you're currently doing. A little
Yeah.
bit. Tell us now what, if anything's happening, any projects, or if you're writing songs, or what you're actually doing currently now in 2021.
So when Donna passed away, I realized that I could either crawl into a ball or realign my life and keep walking forward, which is what I determined to do. And I made a record called "With Angels on a Carousel," which basically chronicles my emotional experience through that particular period of time. And I began my career really as a solo artist. And through that time, I've now made, I don't know, 4 maybe CDs.
Well, I have one here. One of them here, Bruce.
Yeah.
I like
So yeah.
Bruce, do you remember signing this?
Yeah.
For me?
So there's that. There's that 21st century world.
Yeah.
And since that, I've done this one, which I don't have. It's called Spirals Volume 1. And then most recently, it's this one, Spirals Volume 2. And, I've continued to build my audience, which at this stage of the game for me is kind of an interesting deal, but it continues to grow. So now in the next little bit, I have a new record coming out, which I will announce for the first time here for you. This new record is called "Ode to a Nightingale."
Wow.
The first song and video, the first song to debut from this new record is called "In Shadowland." And the new video for this song is really quite amazing. It's directed by a visual artist whose name is Furio Gans. It stars an Italian actress whose name is Maria Roveran. It's just very cool with some very cutting edge digital things combined with a very earthy song. So I'm looking forward to this release, which is going to happen probably.
Congratulations. Looking forward to that.
Congratulations from us.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate you sharing that as a world exclusive on the show.
Thank
Seriously.
you. Thank you, Bruce.
Well,
and Bruce, can I ask you, because we met, it must be 3 years ago at the Borderline in London. Sadly, the Borderline has closed now. This is one of the casualties of our venues in London. But anyway, you were there with Colin Bloodstone. He's another very favorite artist of mine. And I just wonder, how did that come about? How did you know Colin, and how did that happen?
Colin and I have the same manager, and Cindy De Silva, and so I had done a number of shows opening for the Zombies the year prior, so which was great fun, so then when Colin was doing this UK tour, they asked if I would be interested, and obviously I jumped at the opportunity because it was another great opportunity for me to meet new people and make new friends in the world of the UK, and which is how I met you, and it was just a great time, and it was also a great time for me as a solo performer because Colin was very helpful to me. As I said earlier, I only really became a solo artist a few years ago. So, and even the first few years of me as a solo artist, it was not performing live. It was just making records. So I've been growing and growing in terms of my live performance, and Colin was really helpful. because it's an interesting phenomena to be, I didn't have the, typically when I tour, I don't have the luxury of having a whole band. I'm generally by myself. So it's always a challenge to maintain the audience attention and to engage them, especially when they really don't know who you are and they're there to see someone else.
Yeah.
So Colin was so helpful to me in helping me to develop this dialogue with the audience in a way to tell my story and to engage them in the songs that I was doing. And it was really a great growing and learning experience for me as a performance on that tour with Colin.
It was a fabulous set that you did, and as I said, I came up to talk to you afterwards, and you had your CDs, your albums all on the table, and you were talking to everybody. It was lovely. So what plans for next year? Do you doing things in the States more than, and will you be coming to the UK eventually to entertain us again? And what plans?
Right as COVID happened, I was in process of booking a UK tour for myself, where I was going to do a club tour with a band in the UK. Apparently, as a result of the Colin Bluntstone tour, the agency felt that I was in a position to where I could now play certain clubs on my own and draw enough people and continue to build the audience there. So of course that has all fallen apart, and now we're in the process of trying to put all that back together again. And so there's talk about me opening some dates for the Zombies again in other parts of the world, and reclaiming these UK dates again to where I would come over. So I don't have anything firm yet to announce, but we're in process, and I expect that by next year I'll be back out there hitting it again.
Excellent.
I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Bruce, I hope you come to Australia one day.
Donna and I so many times we're this close to going and never really made it, and so it is an unfulfilled dream that I certainly intend to fulfill. And so, yes, I will be over there for sure.
Well, let me tell you something, Bruce. When you come to Melbourne, Australia, we'll keep in touch, and I'll take you one day out of Melbourne, 1 hour away, to the Yarra Valley where the wineries are. We'll sit there, have a wine and a meal, and we'll enjoy ourselves on me, just so you sit back, you relax. And I must say this, right, because you got to understand, you're an inspiration to a lot of people. And I'm being honest. The door's open for you to do whatever you want at the future at the right time. But, I mean, have you ever considered maybe you organising and you producing, let's say, a documentary or a film on Donna's life, the life of you and Donna, also maybe doing a book as well with the film? I mean, these are just suggestions. But what I'm trying to say is, you got to understand, Bruce, the legacy that Donna and yourself have, it'll be a more interesting story if it's you and Donna, like your life together and your kids, and like, making this documentary for the world, because I can tell you what, the audience is ready for it if you produce it and you tell it the way it is through your eyes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree.
Okay, so I'll give you some other world debut here. We are in process of making the documentary now. It is. We made a deal with Universal. The documentary is in progress. We are maybe a third of the way through. I would expect it to be released probably in 18 months, somewhere like that. Don't know yet for sure. It is being directed. It's being co-directed. My daughter Brooklyn is an actress. She's been an actress for quite a number of years. She is co-directing the documentary with a gentleman whose name is Roger Ross Williams, who is an Academy Award-winning documentary director. He most recently, last year, directed the Motown documentary.
Right.
we're working away on this documentary. So
Brilliant.
far, it's looking so amazing. I'm very excited. So that's in process. The other thing that you should know is that a couple of years ago, the Donna Summer musical debuted on Broadway.
Yes.
And was in process of touring the States when COVID happened, and also Brazil when COVID happened. That tour, Summer, the Donna Summer musical, picks up again in November here in the States. And next year we'll be coming to the UK and Australia.
Yes.
So
Mummy.
you can be on the lookout for that. As far
keep
as
us posted on that, Bruce. Keep us posted, because I tell you what, I'm going to be at that premiere, that UK premiere. You know, the first evening. I'm there.
I'll go to the Australian show, no problem. I'm there.
Okay, we'll hook all of that up.
You have all our support, Bruce. All our support. So just, we're always here. We'll be in touch the whole time. Keep us posted.
Yeah,
and
sure.
on your page, whatever. Just keep everybody posted on the progress of everything, because that is that's phenomenal. That's wonderful to hear.
Yeah. That makes, I got to say something, Bruce. Not only does it make yourself happy and your family, but you know what it does? It actually makes the world happy that you've actually told everyone today, because look, Donna Summer, that's disco, and that's like one of the greatest singers that was ever born. You know what I mean? And I can't say anything. There's nothing more you can say when you reach the apex. I mean, you climb the mountain, the highest mountain you can climb. It's like, this is the journey that you and your family have lived through. That's like, you're so down to earth. You're such a great person and family man, It's like this, I feel so surreal just doing this interview. It's like talking to my uncle or my brother. You know what I mean?
I like brother better.
Brother's good. Yeah, don't go there, Plastic. Just brother's fine. We're just so made up. It's just the most. It's Feel Good Friday today. I am feeling so groovy and so good for having you on the show, Bruce. Thank you so much for your time and giving us those exclusives. That is very, very generous of you. Very gracious. Thank you so much.
We appreciate that. And let me tell you, is there any, with your music at the moment, is there any links out there or any places they can go to your website or links to find you, Bruce?
Well, I'm always on a campaign for more people to go to listen to me on Spotify. So, all my records are on Spotify. Please go listen. Videos on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and look at a video, please subscribe, because there's all these concepts that go on. That, I mean, it's a whole new world of the record world out there, and so you have to reach these number levels. And every time you reach a number level, they kick you up to another. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Go listen to me on Spotify. And I appreciate you all very much. And thanks to the both of you for talking to me and allowing me to tell you my story.
And come back again.
Well, I'm going to say,
will do.
The love that goes out from you, Bruce, to the world is just amazing. And do us a favor, don't leave, stay there. And as I said, thanks everyone for watching. Go straight to the top of the charts with our special guest, Bruce Sudano. And I'll tell you what, it's been a big pleasure. Thanks again, Sabine. See everyone.
Thank you.